First, I want to introduce Mike Norris. Mike will demonstrate the moves and shots that will be explained and shown on this videotape. Mike is 6'6", weighs 175 pounds, and is 16 years old. Mike just finished his sophomore year in high school, so he has only done these moves and shots for one basketball season. Now, I thought it best to take a young basketball player in his beginning development and have him show the moves and shots rather than to take an older basketball player who has done them for several years.
Mike is demonstrating some low post moves and shots. In over 30 years of coaching, I have spent a great deal of time breaking down and analyzing shots and moves. What will be shown and explained in this videotape are the moves and shots which I believe are the most effective around the low post area. We'll be breaking down shots and moves so the young players as well as the older players will be able to learn them easily. The shots and moves that will be shown and explained in this tape are all related and fit together. Most post systems either develop driving post play or stationary post play, and not a combination of both. We'll be showing and explaining techniques which will develop both stationary and driving post play. We will also be using techniques to teach the players to read the defense and then react. By developing overall post play, it makes it easy to determine which moves and shots best fit your players. Usually players will use the 3 or 4 moves and shots which best fit them. By ending up with 3 or 4 moves and shots, the players automatically simplify their routine. By developing overall post play, it is also easy to fit this type of post play to the offense. In the end, we want overall post play that is simple and fits the players and the offense. Since we are emphasizing shots and moves, we will not show and break down cutting, pinning, and receiving techniques in this videotape. We are not teaching the sweeping hook shot because we believe it does not fit the other 4 shots very well. The hook shot is a one-footed takeoff shot, whereas the other 4 low post shots are executed taking off both feet, 2-footed takeoff. If there is a player on the team whose abilities are suited to using the sweeping hook, it is recommended that person be taught the hook shot. I don't believe it should be taught to all of the forwards and centers. It is recommended, though, to teach the other 4 low post shots to all the forwards and centers on the team. This videotape will first show basic drills and techniques which break the moves and shots down far enough so the players can learn them well and easily. Once a player has learned the moves and shots, it is not necessary to drill them every day on the basic techniques. It is then best to put them into team drills which utilize time better. Team drills which can easily be worked into basketball practice are shown at the end of the videotape.
Before covering the moves and shots, we'll show some basic fundamentals. Mike is showing the correct ball position. He's starting at the upper stomach chest level. From this ball position, he will time all his shots well. It is very important to start your shots at a correct level. From this upper pocket position, he will also balance properly and protect the ball. Off a pass or dribble, Mike will always bring the ball to the upper pocket. Mike will receive the ball off the pass. Now Avis will throw him a pass. Now Avis is throwing the ball overhead, Mike's bringing it to the upper pocket. Now go ahead, Mike, and bounce the ball once. Mike's brought it to the upper pocket. Mike is showing correct hand position. His wrists are in, elbows out, and his hands are somewhat on the sides and top of the ball. Mike is playing big. The great centers hold the ball this way. From this hand position, Mike can adjust his hands easily on the ball so he can shoot, pass, or dribble. He also controls the ball well with this hand position. We will now show incorrect and correct from another view. Mike first show correct hand position. Hands somewhat on sides and top of ball. Now Mike put hands on sides of ball. Now grip in front. It is difficult to adjust hands on ball from these positions. Now put hands behind ball. Now on top. It is difficult to control the ball with the hands positioned this way. Show the correct again. Now show a very common mistake where the player overspreads index fingers and thumbs. Players who work on gripping the ball for dunking it often develop this habit of overspreading. It is incorrect and should be avoided. It is difficult to shoot, pass, or dribble with the hands positioned this way. Mike is showing the correct foot and body position. The feet are wider than the shoulders, back is positioned properly, knees are bent with the tail set. With the wrists in, elbows out, and the feet spread properly, Mike is playing big. A center needs to get the most out of his or her body and play big. Now Mike, show a small position, elbows in, and a more narrow foot position. This is incorrect. A common mistake in positioning the feet is to have them spread too wide with the tail set. This places the player too low and in an awkward position where it is difficult to move easily. Mike, show this. Spread your feet real wide, set your tail. This is incorrect. This ties player to floor. Now I want Mike to turn sideways so he can show the proper back position and how to set the tail properly. Mike showing a correct position, top basically over the bottom, slight slant to the back. Now make the back real straight. This is incorrect and throws the player off balance. Now bend too much at the waist. Head is too far forward. This also throws the player off balance. Now take a correct position. Slight slant to the back, top basically over the bottom. This is correct. Mike will now show set the tail drill. This can be done on the wall or with an air dummy. A lot of young players have a difficult time learning to position the body properly. If a player executes this drill properly, he or she will automatically develop the correct body position. This is a very good drill to use with young centers. When Mike bends his knees and sets his tail, just the tail should touch the air dummy. Mike is showing the correct head position. He has turned his head and is looking over his shoulder so he can read the defense. Turning the head is something a post player must do to become a great center. After a player receives the ball, he or she should immediately turn the head and look over the shoulder. Now Mike will show the player looking up at the basket. This makes the player lower his or her shoulder and throws the player off balance. This is incorrect. Now show the correct head position looking over the shoulder. The player will want to turn his or her head according to the position of the body on the floor or the foot position. The player will want to turn his or her head toward the middle when the body is positioned at a 45-degree angle. We want the player, whenever possible, to turn his or her head to the middle. We believe a center can see and do more things by turning the head to the middle. As this videotape progresses, you will see how hand position, head position, and other parts fit together to develop overall post play. When receiving the ball in the low post area, we prefer to have the player receive with the jump stop, where both feet go down at the same time. From the jump stop, a player can do more things and also simplify his or her routine. For example, we will start everything off of 2 moves, and this can be done if we use the jump stop. Mike will show an outside turn both ways off the jump stop. Now I'll show a drop step both ways off the jump stop. Again, by using the jump stop, we are able to do more things and also simplify the routine. Mike is showing the first of 2 basic receiving positions. Both arms are up with the hands open toward the passer. The upper part of the arms are somewhat parallel to the floor. With this receiving position, a player makes a big target. Now Mike will show another common and basic receiving position. 1 arm up and 1 arm down. Both positions are good if executed properly. Both make big targets. Mike is showing receiving the ball parallel to the free throw line. Now show receiving the ball at a 45-degree angle. Regardless if the player receives along the free throw line or at a 45-degree angle, he or she should be above the block or by the first hash mark. We prefer to have the player receive the ball at the 45-degree angle. It is easier to look to the middle from this position. It has very good driving angles to the basket. It is easy to turn both ways for an outside jump shot. Again, receiving at a 45-degree angle makes it possible for a player to do many things off of just two beginning moves: drop step and outside turn. Mike will show a receiving and pivoting drill. It can be run off the ball toss-out method or with two players. This is a team drill, good for all players and especially for the centers. When running this as a team drill, have both players receive and pivot. It is important to teach good receiving and pivoting techniques. Too often there is only a little time spent on receiving and pivoting fundamentals. Mike should receive with a jump stop and turn with an outside turn or an inside turn. It's very important to stay down on the turn. By staying down, a player balances better, creates more power off the floor, makes a quicker drive step, and can shoot quicker. There are three common mistakes made when pivoting. One is to start with the ball outside the body. The player needs to start with the ball in the upper pocket. Another common mistake is to step too far out. A player needs to step around and not step too far out. Another common mistake is when a player pivots and doesn't stay down. The player definitely needs to stay down when pivoting. Now, all three of these mistakes affect balance. Mike is demonstrating the power layup, two-footed takeoff. In teaching the power layup, we will start with hand education. Mike show a strong body position with elbows out, wrists in, start with ball in upper pocket. It is very important to start with ball positioned in the upper pocket. From this position, the ball is already in the shot line, so all Mike has to do is take the ball up through his face to be accurate. From this upper pocket position, it is also easy to time the shot well. Players can use strong hand on both sides of basket, or left hand on left side, right hand on right side. If a player is having trouble with release, he or she should take the ball up and turn shooting hand somewhat at top. At same time, drop balance hand at top. This automatically helps set up proper release. For better touch, tell the player, put your fingers through the ball softly. Be sure to emphasize softly, so the player does not put the fingers through the ball too hard. If done properly, this makes the ball roll off the fingers for better touch, and it also creates correct finger and wrist action. Now we'll add shot fakes. Because of time, we will just show them off one side. When faking, the player should not raise the ball too high or too far out front. After faking up, the player should bring the ball back to the upper pocket before shooting. Now we will add one defensive player. The defensive player's hands are up and over slightly, so his or her hands will touch the offensive player's arm as the ball is taken up. Now we'll add two defensive players. All of these drills can be done off the rebound. Mike show a shuffle step. This is a slow footwork procedure and doesn't create a lot of power off the floor. Now Mike do the cross or natural step. This is a quicker step and more powerful. Mike will show the two basic stops. Jump stop. Now do the 1-2 stop. The 1-2 stop can be used from any position on the floor, while the jump stop can be used from only a very few positions. It is difficult and awkward to use the jump stop from the baseline or going to the middle. We believe the 1-2 stop fits all the moves and shots real well and is easily executed from any position on the floor. The main place we're advocating the jump stop is when receiving the ball in the post area. The next two drills can easily be put into team drills. It is recommended to put all players into these two drills. This 2-bounce hop drill, which starts from the free throw line, will easily put the players into the basic power lay-in techniques. From this in-front position, all the player has to do is bounce the ball twice, hop, and go into the shot. Mike is using right hand on right side. On the left side, he will execute the power layup with both the right and left hand. Again, this drill easily gets the player into the beginning power layup techniques. The next drill is the baseline power layup drill. This is an excellent drill to develop all phases of the power layup. Mike starts with his body somewhat turned to the baseline. This body position will automatically set up correct footwork. He will use a 1-2 stop with the baseline foot going down first. Before going into the shot, he should be positioning his body correctly to the bankboard. It is very important that the player get the correct angle. If a player does not get a good angle to shoot from, it will affect his or her accuracy. When working around the basket, a player should always be working for the good angle on the bankboard. Mike will now show bringing the ball into the upper pocket and shooting the ball somewhat out front. Do one shot. By bringing the ball to the upper pocket, Mike protects the ball, balances better, and starts with the ball in the shot line for better accuracy. By shooting the ball somewhat out front, the defensive player has a harder time reaching the ball. Show this. Now we'll add dummy defense. The defensive player should not go out in front of the offensive player or behind. The defensive player should start even and apply pressure from this side position. The player should be fighting for space and angle on the bankboard. Now apply more pressure, Avis. This baseline power layup drill is run the same way on the left side. Mike is in close to the basket demonstrating power layups without dribbling. Most of the low post team drills shown in this tape will be either 1-bounce drills or no-bounce drills. Using both will develop stationary and driving post play. When the player is in close and is not using the dribble, he or she should start the power layup off either the drop step or outside turn. We will first show drop step. For proper balance, it is very important to start with ball in upper pocket. The player should make a complete turn, and while turning, it is real important that the player stay down. The player should also set tail for balance. Now show outside turn. The same techniques apply to the outside turn. With this no-bounce drill, we will later add fakes and other shots and make it a simple team drill. This drill can be run with or without defense. Mike is now showing power moves off the 1-bounce technique. He will again be starting moves off the drop step and outside turn. There are 2 ways to execute this 1-bounce drill. The player can 1-bounce with no hop or 1-bounce with hop. Mike first showed drop step, 1-bounce with no hop. This no hop technique fits all 4 shots real well. Now show drop step, 1-bounce with hop. The 1-bounce hop technique is a powerful step and covers a lot of distance. Usually players will use both methods depending upon the situation. In teaching the drop step, don't overemphasize big step or hooking the player. This will cause the player to overstretch or overstep and throw the player off balance. Show this, Mike. It also makes the move much slower. To beat the defensive player, it is not necessary to hook the player. Show the correct procedure, Mike. When drop stepping, Mike should open up his foot in the direction he is going. He should bounce the ball firmly in the center of the body and stay down in the move until he shoots. Now Mike will demonstrate the one bounce technique off the outside turn. When driving off an outside turn, the player will use a straight out step or a cross step. Now Mike, show this, the straight out or cross step. Now show the cross step. The cross step creates very good driving angles to the basket. It also makes it easy when using the cross step to protect the ball in heavy traffic. Mike, turn to the middle and show good driving angle using the cross step. These moves are to be run on both sides of the basket. Mike is demonstrating jump hook, two-footed takeoff. This is a shot used by many of the great centers. We will start with hand education. Mike will demonstrate on both sides. The player should start with the ball in the upper pocket, wrists in, elbows out, body is somewhat sideways to the target. The player's shooting foot should be even or slightly ahead for proper release. Defense can be added to this drill later. Mike will now show no bounce jump hook. This no bounce jump hook drill is done close to the basket. With no bounce, Mike will only use an outside turn to start jump hook. Mike is turning both ways and he's using a half turn to get correct body position. It is important to start with ball in the upper pocket and to stay down on the turn. Upper pocket, stay down.
Mike is demonstrating one bounce jump hook techniques. The jump hook can be executed off both the drop step and outside turn. Off the one bounce technique, we advocate that the player practice the one bounce no hop technique when shooting the jump hook. The player should practice going both to the middle and baseline areas. The player should bounce the ball firmly in the center of the body and take it to the upper pocket before shooting. The player needs to stay down in the move until ready to shoot. Mike's body is positioned somewhat sideways to the target with his shooting foot even or slightly ahead.
Mike is demonstrating the step-through power shot, two-footed takeoff. This is a very good shot to use against a strong, quick defensive player. This shot works well with the jump hook. Mike will demonstrate the hand education drill. He starts with the ball in the upper pocket. He turns his shooting hand at the top, and at the same time he drops his balance hand. The foot position is different on the step-through shot. If a player uses both right and left hand to shoot the step-through shot, the shooting foot will be behind. The player's feet should be parallel and pointed ahead. Now Mike will show another way to run this drill. Before executing the step through, the player should fake first, then step through. Now show this from the left side. Now Mike will execute the no-bounce step-through drill. This drill is done close to the basket. With no bounce, the step-through is only executed from an outside turn. Mike starts with the ball in the upper pocket. He turns outside and stays down on turn. When turning outside, he makes a half turn so his body is somewhat sideways to the target and defense. He then fakes and steps through and explodes off both feet. Later, we'll show how well this fits the jump hook.
Mike is demonstrating the one-bounce step-through. This can be executed off both the drop step or outside turn. Off the one-bounce drop step, we advocate that the player practice the one-bounce no-hop technique. Mike is showing the one-bounce drop step without hopping. This drill is run farther out in both the baseline and middle areas. The player should bounce the ball firmly in the center of the body and then take it to the upper pocket level before faking. The player's body is positioned somewhat sideways before faking. The player should use a shot fake. It should be short and close to the body. A common mistake before faking is to take too big of a step, which throws the player off balance. After the fake, the player should step through and jump off both feet and shoot. Remember, the player needs to stay down in the move until he or she explodes off the floor.
Before Mike demonstrates the turnaround jump shot, there are some techniques we need to cover. Mike should first start with the ball in the upper pocket. By starting in the upper pocket, the player times the shot better. By starting in the upper pocket, the player will balance better and the ball will start in the shot line. All right, now make a pivot. When Mike pivots, he should stay down on the turn. I bring it back. Go ahead and do it again. By staying down on the turn, he balances better and will shoot much quicker. So it's very important that the player stays down on the turn. I bring it back. All right, a common mistake now is to step too far out with the turn. Show this. This throws the player off balance. I bring it back. Now pivot again. Feet should be underneath the body. This balances the player better. I bring it back. Now when Mike pivots, he stays down. Go ahead. He shoots the ball quicker this way, so he immediately must look up with the eyes. If he doesn't do this, he's almost all the way through the shot, and he'll execute the shot poorly. I bring it back. Now Mike will demonstrate some turnaround jump shots. Again, the essential techniques for the turnaround jumper are: start with the ball in the upper pocket, stay down on the turn, don't overstep, and look up immediately with the eyes. Mike will now show developing a routine off the turnaround jump shot. First, show turnaround jumper. Second, show a shot fake and shoot. When faking, Mike should use a shot fake. He should not fake too far up or too far out from the body. After the fake, the ball should be brought back to upper pocket before shooting. Now show fake and drive. All these drills can be done off the pass or with the ball toss out method. Now Mike will show shooting off the move, going right into the shot. He is coming somewhat from the baseline and is going across the middle for a short jump shot. Mike is using a 1-2 stop. Coming from this angle, he should put his inside foot down first, going both ways. By using this footwork procedure, inside foot down first, if he decides not to shoot the jump shot, he can go right into all the moves and shots which have been shown in this videotape. It probably should be mentioned again that most of the great players use a 1-2 stop for most moves and shots. The jump stop is mainly used when the player receives the ball and pivots.
Mike is doing an excellent job of demonstrating the turnaround jump shot. He is starting with the ball in the upper pocket, staying down in his turn, not overstepping, and he is looking up immediately with his eyes.
Mike will demonstrate the hand education routine. This routine only takes a few minutes each practice. Mike is starting with the power layup. He is shooting 2 or 3 shots on both sides of the basket. Now do step through with shooting foot behind. Mike fakes and then steps through. Now start a little farther out and do jump hooks. Again, this only takes a short time to do this routine, but it really helps develop proper release and touch. Remember, for better accuracy, the player needs to start with the ball in the upper pocket. This automatically starts the shot with the ball in the correct shot line. Also, for better touch and finger-wrist action, Mike should put his fingers through the ball softly. Mike will next demonstrate dribbling techniques for low post area. Mike will first show the correct step, which is a cross or natural step. This is a quick step and it fits all the moves and shots. Now show shuffle step. Too slow and the great players don't use this footwork procedure. The cross step footwork procedure places Mike's body in a position from which he can immediately get into the moves and shots easily. Mike show body position with Avis defensing. Mike's body is somewhat sideways to the defense and basket, which protects the ball and positions the body so that Mike can go right into shots and moves. The next technique to add to this drill is looking over the shoulder to read the defense. Mike show this. By doing this, Mike learns to know where the defense is at all times, and in turn he knows when to fake or shoot, so that he doesn't get his shot blocked. Players who learn to do this correctly hardly ever get their shot blocked. Since this drill goes back and forth, it really trains the player to look over his or her shoulder. Mike will now show dribbling the ball firmly. By dribbling the ball firmly, he controls the ball. He should keep his shoulders somewhat level and not dribble in a way that lowers one shoulder. The ball should be bounced somewhat in the middle of the body for balance and protection. Now show changing dribbling hands. Very few great centers drag the ball back with the same hand. They change hands, which allows them to do more things: shoot, pass, or dribble. When changing hands, Mike should bounce the ball in the center of the body and look over his shoulder. The player should first develop the correct dribbling techniques for low post area without defense, then add strong defensive pressure. Then let the player shoot off this drill. This drill can also be set up to teach players to go away from pressure. When the player is going back and forth, the defensive player can jump out at the middle of the 3-second area and force the player to go away from pressure. Avis is showing jumping out in front of the player. Again, this dribbling drill can be used to help develop several low post techniques. Mike is showing the no bounce drill, which is executed close to the basket. This is an excellent drill to teach reading the defense and reacting quickly to score. It is also a good drill to teach players to know where the defense is so they know when to fake or shoot so they don't get their shots blocked. It is also a good drill to teach the player to go away from pressure. It is best to first run this no bounce drill without defense, then add dummy defense. Avis, go ahead and guard Mike. Now Avis is playing dummy defense. Avis will first show guarding Mike on the top side. Do another one. Mike is drop stepping and doing a power layup. Now guard baseline side. Off an outside turn here, Mike can do several things. He's showing a jump hook. Avis start even now and then go for the shot. Mike do an outside turn and do a step through. Show one more of those. Mike will show reading the defense and reacting. Mike should receive the ball above the block around the first lane marker. After receiving the ball, Mike should immediately turn his head and read the defense. He then reacts according to the defense. Mike will react to most of the defensive situations by either drop stepping or making an outside turn. These are the two basic beginning moves, which have been shown throughout the tape. Show this, Mike. Mike and Avis will now show reading and reacting to different defensive situations. We'll start with the side defensive position. First, we are showing Avis guarding from the top with a side defensive position. Off this defensive position, Mike should drop step to baseline. Now guard from the bottom with a side defensive position. Mike should also use a drop step here. Facing a side defensive position, the player will usually use a drop step. Off the drop step either way, it is easy to execute any of the four shots shown in this tape: jump hook, turnaround jumper, power layup, or step through. Mike should drop step against side defensive position and use a shot which best fits the situation. Mike and Avis will now show drop stepping against a side defensive position. It is best to first start with dummy defense. Do top side first and show power layup. Now do bottom and show jump hook. Now do bottom and do a step through. Avis, now guard directly behind. Against directly behind defense, the player will usually use an outside turn. Avis, now guard off the player. Mike should also use an outside turn here and face defense. Mike can now pass, shoot, or drive. Of course, Mike can also go right into turnaround jump shot. With the defensive player off or directly behind, it is usually best to turn and face the defense. If Mike drives, he should get into the player, especially if the defensive player is a shot blocker. If he gets close to the defensive player, he can then use fakes and other moves to get his shot off easily against the shot blocker. Show this. Usually when driving off an outside turn, the player will use a cross step. The cross step creates a good driving angle and protects the ball in heavy traffic. Show this. There's another way an offensive player can attack the defensive player is playing off. The offensive player can drop step back toward defensive player and get close enough to use fakes and other moves. Show this. Defensing from the front position is the last defensive position we are showing. If the defense is in front, Mike should pin the defensive player and look for a lob pass. Again, since we are emphasizing shots and moves, we have not done a breakdown on pinning, cutting, and receiving techniques. Another way to go against a front or side defensive position is to reverse the ball to the top of the perimeter and have the offensive player pin again. The ball is then entered to the low post from the top. This reversing of the ball and passing from the top to the low post should definitely be included in the low post drills. We'll show this.
We have just shown the one-on-one defensive situations which the low post players will face. If the players develop the basic moves and shots shown in this videotape and then learn how to read and react, they will move and shoot easily against the different defensive situations. Remember, it is important to look over the shoulder, read and react, and stay down in the move until ready to shoot. These drills which have been shown in this video can be set up in different ways, with one or more passers, with or without defense. They can be run individually without a player passing the ball if the ball toss-out method is used.
For information about other shooting materials, write Dick Baumgartner, 549 Meadowbrook Lane, Richmond, Indiana, 47374, or phone area code 317-966-4994.